I had a great, W-2 income and high income, so to speak. And, from that point on, you start thinking, well, I do have a lot of income and make a lot of money, but it's going to be hard because I realize that I'm going to pay a lot of taxes on those money.
Welcome to the Power of Passive Income and How to Retire Rich with your host, Vijay Patel. Get your financial advice straight from the experts and learn how to take your first steps towards financial freedom. If you're ready to retire rich, then listen up.
Good morning, everyone. We have Tudor in the house, and thank you for joining this morning. I know it's early, and let's get started without failing. So we just want to introduce, he is an anesthesiologist and still practicing, but we have some incredible stories to tell and how he made his journey, because this is the show all about, making that transition from 9 to 5 or getting stuck in W-2 to having that financial freedom. So we'll be talking with him, sharing his journeys, lessons, and then down the line we'll be asking some questions. So if you can take some minute to introduce yourself, and let's get started.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Vijay, for having me on. It's a pleasure, and I hope your audience will have some good insights from our conversation. My name is Tudor Francu. I'm a doctor. I'm an anesthesiologist. I live in Maryland presently, close to Annapolis, and I direct right now 2 medical practices in this space, mostly in the surgical center, outpatient procedures. The story that I had was interesting because I think for your audience, it means a lot of how you can progress from being a professional like myself, getting into real estate space and build up this passive income so you can free up more of your time. Shortly, I'm an immigrant from Romania. I came here when I was 28 years old with nothing. I had no money, I had no knowledge, I didn't know anybody. Just came here and tried to start a new life, basically. After a communist country, living for the first 28 years old, came here and had no clue what's happening. I didn't know what the debit card was. I didn't know what a credit card was. It was very hard for me to even speak the language. Or understand, or it was a culture shock, basically. And I tried to take step by step, educate myself as much as I could, and go from there. I was a doctor. I started doing all kinds of jobs in the beginning, small little things that can help me survive for a while, and then build up my career from that point on. And I had the privilege, one of the little jobs I had was to work for a guy who was in the financial space, and helping him out as an assistant. And I learned a lot from him about the financials in the United States, and that's how I started educating myself of the terms of, what the financial education means. I remember the first time I heard the name, the phrase cash flow was from him, and I was like, what is cash flow? That's how I started reading about it, and later on he helped me a lot of understanding a lot of terms that we're going to talk about. Then progressively I start practicing medicine, get into a residency program, become an anesthesiologist, moved to Maryland from New York. And I realized that I want to do and explore this financial side more and more. I was very happy in my job. I had a great, W-2 income, and high income, so to speak. And, from that point on, you start thinking, well, I do have a lot of income and make a lot of money, but it's going to be hard because I realize that I'm going to pay a lot of taxes on those money. And the more money you make, the more time you spend to make that money. So, little bit, few questions kind of arise in my mind at that point of how can I improve this picture for myself. And I was lucky enough in the first year, early years, early 2000, I think it was 1998, something like that, when I had the opportunity of attending one of Robert Kiyosaki's seminars. And this was early on. We're talking about him and his wife getting on the talking points and by themselves and teaching people, and there was very small group, so to speak, and I was very fortunate. I didn't realize what I had at that time. Now I do. I got to know him personally. Cash flow game just came out, and then Rich Dad Poor Dad book was just printed. So that book fascinated me and kind of changed my whole perspective of what I need to approach, how I need to approach financials from that point. And I realized that I was, almost 30 something years old at that time. And I realized that many of the natives here, Americans, are not financially educated in school. So, you start off with the handicap being an immigrant, but it was not really a handicap because I started educating myself. And I think everybody can do that at this point. And especially now, 20 something years later, where we have access to all the resources and internet and, YouTube and everything at our hands, basically, we can educate ourselves and do the best we can for our time. So, going back there, after I attended those seminars and started playing the cash flow game, I'm a big fan of Monopoly, by the way. I built up my own game in Romania. Well, I didn't have it, to buy it from, and I just built it up myself and play. And it was a very simple principle, right? You buy some greenhouses from your active income, from your salary, that you later on get some rent on, and then you build up a hotel, and you sell those houses, and you build up and you buy a hotel, and then the rent increases. And that's how you win the game, by winning more streets and more neighborhoods, right? And that can very easily be applied in life. And that's what I did, basically. So I went back to my job, my W-2 job as a doctor, and I said, well, I'm making a lot of money as an anesthesiologist. How can I maximize my tax savings and also start investing? And at that time, I started with single-family homes, one after another, maybe twice, 2 houses a year, or maybe 3 houses a year, and stuff like that. And it was just a build-up of investment. Everything I made, I put up in real estate space, and I built up a pretty good portfolio of single-family homes over the years by just doing that. It helped me a lot with cash flow and getting passive income from those rents, and also tax advantages for my W-2 income. And it was a very good combination of like applying Monopoly in the real life, and also get more than Monopoly can offer, which is tax advantages, appreciation of those assets that you buy, depreciation of them on the tax returns, and a lot of cash flow.
Got it.
So there are 4 things that basically are getting together to make yourself more money.